Ho, ho, ho.
Hi, welcome to the Therapy Podcast. My name is Mouse.
And my name is Ryan.
And this week, the bells are jingling, the snow is glistening, and we are reviewing the 1990 Christmas classic, Home Alone!
Home Alone, as you should already know, is about an 8-year-old boy who is clever beyond his years. He is left to defend his house from these burglars on Christmas Eve after being forgotten and left home alone by his very careless family when they are rushed on their way to their Christmas vacation. So that is what the movie is about. Everybody knows this, or so I thought, because apparently this was the first time Pilar has watched this movie.
Apparently to me too, because I thought I'd seen this movie, but actually I've never seen it before because everything was new to me. Everything was a shock to me. So there was one where I remember there was like a cutout of a naked lady, or like maybe a lady in a bikini. Like, I don't know if it was like his brother's cardboard cutout or if it was like he cut out the centerfold.
Okay.
And he put it in the shower, and there was a parrot that was like, hey, sexy, something like that, you know? I'm pretty sure that's what I watched, but it was like a Home Alone movie, I'm pretty sure. Was there a third one?
So there's a third one, a fourth one, maybe a fifth one, and now...
Another one with Yorkie?
Yeah, and now Yorkie's in one.
Right.
That might be the fifth one, though.
Yeah, but I've never seen that.
I mean, I know. You should have never seen the third one, or that shouldn't be what you're talking about, because Macaulay Culkin's only in 2 of them. The third one is like
then
a different
the third
kid.
One?
It's a different kid. They're just trying to make money off of this IP.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw one, and I had a parrot and a sexy lady in the shower. Because I remember they walked into the shower, and then they saw the silhouette of like a hot bod, and then like her be like, I don't know, a parrot said some sexy stuff.
So in the second one, he has a little Walkman.
Right.
And he records his Uncle Frank saying something.
Right.
Oh, singing in the shower.
Singing
in the silhouette of the shower is like this, like one of those blow up things that you punch and it won't fall over. Like it's weighted on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like one of those with arms.
Okay.
And he's playing like the recording.
No, but I specifically
There's
remember...
no parrot.
No, I specifically remember a parrot.
Then you're talking about a
and
different
a cardboard
movie.
cutout or something, like a piece of paper in the shower. Anyways, that's what I thought Home Alone was this very specific scene. And that's the only thing I remember from like this Home Alone movie that I remember watching.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So if this happens to be one of the third or the fourth one, please let us know. Because it's going to be trapped in my mind forever.
So, I know you were surprised when you first heard Macaulay Culkin's voice.
Yes. So, given that I thought I had seen this, but I really only remember watching Macaulay Culkin and Richie Rich. And he was a lot older in that movie, right?
Yeah.
So I remember his voice being a lot deeper. And so the first time I heard his voice, he was like, Mom, can you please tie my shoes? I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Mom.
Okay. Okay, so this was like the 1000th time that I've seen this movie.
Okay.
I have not seen it in a long time.
Okay.
Like since I was a kid, probably.
Right.
It was interesting to watch it as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up on a lot more than...
Like jokes and
stuff. Like details that I never realized before.
Right, okay.
And I'm curious as to whether you picked up on the same things on the first viewing.
As an adult.
The first thing that stood out to me
in
this viewing was none other than just the opening scene.
Okay.
So it is something that has stuck with me.
Yes.
Like the music.
Uh-huh.
Like dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I remember the music, but I do remember the opening scene being way more than I was ready for. Like.
Wait, what opening scene are you talking about?
Wait. What opening scene am I talking about?
Are you talking about everybody like going by?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about before that.
Okay.
Like the opening shot that we see is just the music playing, and then we see like the moon, and there's like the slow pan, and it's as though like the little graphic of the house is there already, and the camera's just like slowly panning and zooming out to reveal this house graphic.
Oh my gosh, I probably wasn't even paying attention to that.
Oh.
I really don't remember that.
I just feel like it's one of the most iconic like movie openings
Okay.
that I've ever seen.
Damn, dude, if I had paid attention, it probably would have been really good.
Yeah, and then like Home and Alone pop up on both sides of the little house.
Okay.
And like the light comes on in the house.
Damn.
You don't remember?
I really don't remember that.
Wow.
What the hell, dude?
All right.
I think I just started writing my notes, but I really don't remember seeing that.
That's okay. I only have 999 viewers. All right, so the first real aspect of the movie that I never realized was something I'm just going to call like, well, I was going to call them plot hole fillers.
Okay.
But they're more like plot hole preventative techniques.
Okay, plot hole patches.
Plot hole, I mean, it's like preventatives.
I guess you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did pick up on that, like, them. But I felt like it was almost like when you're reading a story from, like, a creative class or whatever, and somebody's like, can you, like, proofread my story? And then, you know, they're, like, reading it, and they're like, okay, but what about this? And what about this? And it's almost like they went back to be like, okay, we have to write this in to, like, make sure that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it felt like it was an afterthought. Does that make sense? To me.
I can see that, but, like, the plot is based on all of this. It's, like, anchored to all of these plot hole preventions.
Okay.
So, like, specifically, I think, like, blatantly, the neighbor kid, Mitch Murphy is his name.
Yeah.
So, he comes out of nowhere. He's not involved in the rest of the movie.
Right.
He provides some, like, comedy with his 1,000 questions a second.
Right.
Of course, his presence appears to be purely to show how Kevin was missed. Like, they're doing the little head count thing.
Right.
And he is counted,
like,
and then he walks off, of course.
Like, it technically wasn't this family being terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the responsible thing. Like, they have a plan.
Right.
To count everybody, count all the kids, make sure you got everybody. Of course, it goes terribly wrong.
Right.
And it appears as though this neighbor, this annoying-ass neighbor kid, just comes over, and that's his purpose of the movie.
Right.
But he does a couple of things in his dialogue.
Okay.
He tells the van driver that his family's going on vacation as well. And, you know, he goes into great detail on that.
Right.
Like, they're stopping somewhere before they get somewhere else. And, what that does is provide you with the context that you need in the future for why Marv and Harry are over in that house robbing it.
Okay, gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
I was caught off guard because I had never noticed that before. I just thought, like, oh, of course they missed Kevin because they counted this kid who looks like Kevin or whatever.
Yeah, he has the same hat as Kevin.
Yeah. Then in that same scene, like, you know, the power goes out. And by the way, the power going out, there's like the music starts to play during that scene. You remember that?
Yeah.
And there's like the branch is like scraping up against the window.
Right.
And I was so scared of that. And then there's the shot of the like Santa head wreath.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
No, dude. Why can't I remember these things? I feel like there's other very specific things that I remember. But okay.
Well, this Santa head wreath, like it's a wreath with like a Santa head in the middle.
Right.
And like the music is playing, and it just there's like a dramatic moment in the music.
Okay.
I thought it zoomed in, but it just like cuts to like a close up of the Santa head, and that like scarred me for life as a kid. Yeah, and it's terrifying. It's still scary.
Dang, I feel like as a kid that's probably would have scared me too. So like the obvious thing for a kid to be afraid of is like the furnace.
Yes.
And like I don't know as a kid if I would have been scared of that. But like the furnace. You were scared of the furnace?
Yeah. Furnace. Don't give him a name.
You were scared of Fermi?
Fermi?
Vermilion? But I don't know, like to me as a kid that would have been cheesy.
So I watched The Brave Little Toaster as a kid.
Okay, yes, that can be scarring.
And this is like a live action clip of The Brave Little Toaster, basically.
Okay.
With this furnace like lighting up and then starting to like.
Yeah, but you didn't have a basement growing up, so you had nothing to be scared of.
I didn't have a basement. but man, in the middle of the night when I had to go to the bathroom, like that was scary. I don't know.
Yeah.
So to get back about the power going out, that same scene with the neighbor kid, they're like getting everybody in the van. They're about to pull out, get to the airport, and like the power line worker comes over and is like, "Hey, we got the power back up, but your phone lines are down. They're gonna be down for a couple of days."
Right.
And like, that's just such a brilliant thing because it's just said by somebody and not even
it's
heard.
like a casual thing. You had to like be actively listening to be like, oh, okay, cool, what?
Yeah, like the characters are just not even paying attention to it.
Right.
So like you as a viewer is not going to pay attention to it. But because the phone lines are down, once they get to Paris, figure out that Kevin isn't with them, they left him at home, they can't communicate with him directly. Like they can't call him because the phone lines are down.
Okay. But at some point, the phones do come up because there is the scene where the robbers are at the neighbor's house.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. Also, another thing that's just said and doesn't seem like much because I've missed it all my life. I never put two and two together.
Right.
But the pizza comes. They're like everybody's gathering around the table and the counter space to like eat this pizza, and Kate, the mom, played by Catherine O'Hara. Yeah.
Goddess.
Yes. She like yells out to everybody like, "I hope you're drinking milk. I'm trying to get rid of it."
Right.
Because they're going on vacation. If they leave milk there, it's just going to spoil or whatever. That's why later on, Kevin has to go to the grocery store.
Okay.
Because they're out of milk.
Because they spilled it. So that was one of the scenes that bothered me so much.
Okay.
Like that they just had their passports out on the counter and then they just spilled milk all over it. Like, who does that? Like, who leaves their passports?
Well, they're leaving in the next morning, though.
I know, but why would they leave them out? Put it in your little duffel bag. It doesn't make sense to me why they would leave it out like that.
I don't know.
All in a pile.
What do you want them to be all spread out?
No, in their own duffel bags. Sorry, I was mad.
Yeah. Also, in that scene, it is something that I feel like everybody misses the first time, but you see Kevin's dad like sopping up the milk with all these napkins and stuff and like dabbing the passports, and he just like grabs a bundle of them and throws them in the trash can, and there's a quick like clip just of the trash can and the trash going into it, but in that bundle of napkins there's also Kevin's passport.
Oh,
this has been something that's like been revealed online.
I did not notice that. Okay.
If you zoom in, which I'll do, you can like see like the top of the passport, which is also red. Okay. But then you can see like Kevin's name written, like in Sharpie or something.
Okay.
Or not passport, ticket.
Oh, his ticket.
Not his passport.
Okay.
His ticket.
Yeah, I feel like his passport probably would have been a little bit more, like, eye-grabbing than a regular ticket.
Which, now that I think about it, that doesn't explain if they have Kevin's passport. Well, I guess they would keep the passports.
Yes.
In
their duffel bags.
You don't have to hand those over when you get onto the plane like they do with the tickets. So, I mean, the fact that they threw Kevin's ticket away explains how they're not like, we have an extra ticket for Kevin. Mm-hmm. Like, that explains that.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, it doesn't explain the passports. But that's not something that you're going to be, like, checking until you get to France.
Okay. You know? Okay. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been international.
And then there's one more, like, plot hole preventions.
Okay.
And that's when they're on the plane. Mm-hmm. The adults are in first class and the kids are back in coach.
Right.
And there's a line like, don't you feel guilty that the kids are in coach? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody says that. And that's how we know that they're split up.
Yeah, so they can't even count the kids.
Yeah, they can't even see that Kevin is missing.
Okay.
So, like, that's another way that they left him home alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
That's the whole show, folks. So I like the idea that they had all these preventative plot hole, fillers, whatever.
Yes.
But I hated them. Like, they were nice in theory, but I hated them. Because I felt like it felt very, to me, like an afterthought. I felt like it was like the kid just comes up and he has like a whole personality for 5 seconds. And it's like, okay, kid, that I'm never ever going to see again. Like, why were you even in this film?
Mitch Murphy?
Yeah. Like, I felt like he could have easily just been like a kid who walks up and then sees like a shiny toy in a bag and is like, oh, I like this. And then like they count his head and then they leave. Like, I did not like how they just gave this kid like a whole ass personality.
Okay. Well, they do that with kind of everyone, though.
Who else gets a whole ass personality?
Well, I mean, there's a large, like, cast of family members, and just about every one of them at least has one line of dialogue.
Yeah, but this kid has more lines of dialogue than his family members.
I know, but I'm saying, like, they didn't... I feel like it would be too obtuse to have just a random kid show up, not say anything or interact with anyone, and then just get counted as Kevin and then just be out of the picture.
That's another thing too. I don't understand why these drivers would even let this kid, who's like not even part of it, like be all up in their car. Like, they know that he's not a kid that is going on the trip because he's like, oh yeah, I'm the neighbor, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, kid, go to your fucking house. That's what I would be.
Everybody's rushing though. Like, the drivers woke them up.
Okay.
Like, they've been waiting on them because they're scheduled to pick them up at a certain time.
Right.
And now everybody's, like, flying in and out of the house with all their bags and stuff. Like, they're trying to fit all the luggage in and get people in. Like, they're not paying attention to this kid.
They are paying attention because he was sitting in the van with him.
Yeah, but the kid's going on, and the driver's like, I don't know, kid. Get the fuck out of here. And that's how everybody feels.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm just stating that I did not like the kid and his whole ass personality. He could have just easily been in and out of the spot and it would have been fine.
Okay. The phone's being down.
Oh yeah, the phone's being down. That felt very much like watching Tommy Wiseau go into the flower shop and being like, hey, my flowers. And they're like, oh, you're my favorite customer. Hi, doggy. That's exactly what it felt like watching it, dude. I was like, what?
Oh, hi, doggy.
Hi, doggy. I mean, I understand what it was there for, but I did not like it the way it was delivered. It felt like so rushed and like it felt like it was supposed to be casual but also deliberate, and I did not like that. Like, it's like be one or the other.
It was deliberately casual, yeah.
Yeah, and I hate that.
Okay. Well, so there are issues with the phones being down.
Okay.
Because he says the phones are going to be down for a couple of days, which is very vague. Like, does that mean that only their house the phones are down?
Right. I don't know, because the phones across the street were working because the robbers were there.
Right. And Kevin's dad calls the Murphy house. Mm-hmm. It gets the voicemail. Of course, Harry and Mar were there and hear it and whatever. So, like, the fact that he could call into the neighbors maybe is a plot hole.
Right.
But there's a better plot hole.
Better plot hole?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
their house, the McAllister house, their phones are definitely down.
Right.
Because that's what the power worker said, the power line worker. However, Kevin's first night, he orders pizza.
That's so true.
Yeah.
What the heck? Wow.
Yeah.
What the heck, dude? I will state this right now. I liked this movie. I had a fun time watching this movie. But I felt like, alongside of the plot holes and not really liking how they were delivered, I felt like there was things that I felt culturally shocked by. One of the things I was really shocked by was just how hostile these kids were to, like, Macaulay Culkin's character, to Kevin. Like, they were so mean to him. And, like, to the point where this 7-year-old was like, you know what? I wish you were all dead. Like, I mean, I understand, like, not liking your family and your family getting on your nerves. But this kid straight up was like, I am never going to see you guys again whenever I grow up. And he's, like, 7 years old. He's so jaded. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. He's 8 years old.
8 years old, whatever. And then he gets in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. And his mom is like, go upstairs. And he's like, I'm already upstairs, dummy. Bitch, if that was my mom, what? I wouldn't be alive. Calling my mom dummy?
I mean, he's sassy.
That's a child that deserves a spanking.
Well, I look at it this way.
Okay.
Everybody is stressed out. They're about to go on vacation. They're flying to Paris tomorrow.
Right.
Like, it's the holidays, so that's stressful enough. They just drove in from Ohio or something. Uh-huh. Like, everybody is, like, as tense as they could be. Mm-hmm. Plus, there's this police officer in the house for no reason.
Why is he in the house? He not need permission to get inside of their house? That made no sense to me.
All right, so I went through, like, the IMDb, like, goof page for Home Alone.
Yeah.
And might I say, there are a ridiculous amount of, like, continuity errors.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
And just, like, things ranging from the way Catherine O'Hara's jacket moves between shots.
Okay.
Like there's small stuff like that.
Right.
But then there's also, like, major things like the phones, mm-hmm. like, that are listed. I did not see the fact that the movie starts off and Joe Pesci's character, Harry, mm-hmm. impersonating a police officer, is already in their house.
Right.
Like, who let him in and then just went and minded their own business?
Yeah, that makes no sense. And he's, like, asking every kid, like, who lives here? Who lives here? It's like, dude, what do you care? And then he's, like, asking all these questions. And, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not part of a white family. Not part of a middle-class white family.
They're upper middle class.
Okay, upper middle class white family.
Their house is the silver tuna.
That is true. Yeah. Anyways, they're just, like, spilling their beans to everyone.
You just
rule number one.
You use that earnestly in a sentence.
Dude, don't spill your beans. Rule number one. And, like, they're like, oh yeah, we have this lock. We have, like, these kinds of security. Blah blah blah. Like, you know, my grandmother is, like, treasure is in the upstairs bathroom, like, underneath the sink, you know? They're, like, telling this guy everything. And, like, he's still around the house. Like, I personally would not have, you know, a cop would not be in my house. And then, too, if he is in my house, he would not be in my house for more than, like, a minute. Like, I just hate the fact that they're just, like, nobody's like, okay, like, is there anything else I could do for you, officer? No? Okay, get the heck out.
Well, they're very white. It's 1990.
Okay.
They're rich.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And they do not fear the police. Okay. You know? In fact, actually, you know what? So there's a flag when Kevin goes to the attic. Uh-huh. Or the third floor, whatever they call it. It is a Chicago Police Department flag.
Okay.
And it's the same flag that's on his arm. Okay. And then the cop that comes later on is also has the same thing.
And, like, dude, okay, when they do call the police, because I was getting upset that they didn't, that the first thing that they didn't do was call the police. Because it's like, that's the first thing I would do. Like, I wouldn't try to call the kid. Anyways, when they call the police, they're like, okay, we're going to send somebody to go check on your house. And then they're like, knock, knock. All right, there's nobody in here. It's like, bitch, yeah. He's a kid who's alone. Like, first thing you like learn as a kid is, like, don't talk to strangers. So you're not going to open the door for anyone.
I know.
Especially you're home alone.
I know. I get it. Like, in a real situation, that police officer is, like, breaking down the door.
Right.
You know? However, what do they call her? Hyper.
They
say hyper on line 2 or something like that. Like, they don't believe a word that this crazy lady is saying to them. So they're just going through the motions of going to this house.
Okay.
Like, the suspension of disbelief holds up in that scenario for me.
Okay.
Because I can see this cop, like, not giving a shit.
Okay.
He just...
I mean,
he just got called
be giving shit, so...
He just got called to some random house by some crazy lady.
Okay.
And the last thing he wants to do is go into some crazy lady's house.
Okay, fair. Okay, another thing that, like, to me, I don't really understand, like, culturally, is, like, Kevin was going through his big brother's room, and he goes into that big chest, and he like the first thing he sees is like the picture of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he's like, woof. Like, what does that mean? I mean, what does woof mean? Like, obviously it means like she's ugly, but where does it come from?
It comes from an adult writing a screenplay. That's what it comes from.
But
no kid would ever say that.
What's his brother's name?
Buzz.
Buzz. He's like, Buzz, girlfriend. Woof. That's so dumb.
Here's a fun fact that I didn't put in my fun facts.
Okay.
That picture is actually of a boy. It's like the director's nephew or something.
Wow.
He didn't want to like insult a girl that way.
Okay. Wow. Cool.
So he insulted a boy that way.
His own boy, I guess. Oh yeah, I don't know. I meant to look it up, but did you figure out what Very G stands for?
So I have that under my quotes.
Okay.
I assume... I don't know what that means.
Well, okay, do you remember the context it was said under?
Yes. He says... Alright, so Harry tells Marv, that's the one, Marv. That's the silver tuna. Okay. And Marv says, oh, it's Very G. Mm-hmm. That's the line.
Okay. I guess it just means good, or like, you know, it's top notch. Very G.
Very G.
I've never heard that in my life.
It caught me so off guard.
That's like...
Off G.
That's like a white adult writer trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that I was like, whoever has ever said that in their life.
That was a culture shock for you?
That was a culture shock because it's like, who says that?
Nobody's
ever said that. And it's like literally just trying to be cool with a new term that they thought they heard some kid say on the street.
Yeah.
Another culture shock for me that we talked about a little bit was like the milk. Who drinks milk with their dinner? Like, with pizza. I mean, okay, so milk with pizza is one of my favorite things. But I feel like...
What?
I love drinking milk with pizza.
And this was a culture shock to you?
Well, it's a culture shock to me because it's like, I know it's a weird thing.
Okay.
And they're just doing it as a family. But I feel like that happens a lot in like older movies where like they're eating dinner. They always drink milk.
Well, I think like the kids specifically are having to drink milk.
Okay. I guess it's like...
Like they have Pepsi as well.
Right. They have Pepsi. And we see Kyrian drinking Pepsi.
Yeah.
But, like... I don't know. It's okay. So that kind of loops into like the scene where Kevin is like at the grocery store or whatever, the convenience store, and he's like, "Is this toothbrush certified by the American Dental Association?" Like, what even is that?
I mean,
why?
That is something. Don't you think that would be something that a kid that thinks is trying to act more mature than he really is would ask?
I guess, but it also feels like a promo for the American Dental Association. Like, okay, so drinking milk at dinner feels like such a like a 90s like, oh, this is what kids should be doing kind of thing.
Okay.
And so does that scene. Like, it just feels like a commercial within a movie.
Like 9 out of 10 dentists approve of this movie.
Like, you know what it feels like? It feels like The Truman Show. Where he's like, where she would be like, oh, I got this at the grocery store. It's called the bean peeler. Isn't that great, Truman? And he's like, what?
It's certified organic.
Right. So that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. Like that specific scene was really weird and out of place for this movie for me.
Okay, interesting. I thought 2 other scenes were out of place.
Okay. Both
of which are like deliberately wholesome, I want to say.
Okay.
So the first scene is the Santa Claus scene.
Okay.
Kevin walks to this like Santa North Pole house thing. You know, it's like, you know,
in the middle of like the park.
Yeah. And he has this weird conversation with the Santa where he's like, I know you're not the real Santa. I know how it works. I'm old enough to know how it works. And then he goes on to say, I know you're not the real Santa. Santa, but I know you work with him or something like
Yeah,
that.
you work for him.
Yeah, and like that's a funny line. It's like a
Yeah.
cute kid thing, like kid logic.
Right.
But the Santa is so cringy, and then he's like, "Okay, kid, sounds good," and then he tries to give him these Tic Tacs.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that was like really weird to me, and I guess kind of culturally shocking to me, was the amount of like
Culturally shocking.
was the amount of like product placement in this movie. So another scene that felt really weird to me, but I still love it, is the scene with Kyrian where he's drinking the Pepsi. Like, just the way that it was cut was very weird. Because it was so fast and like, you know, like the dialogue itself was like, what's his name? The kid?
Fuller.
Then he's like, Fuller, slow down on the Pepsi. You know, like that could have been left alone. But then the way it was shot, like, and edited was like, you know, he's drinking the Pepsi face is like right there. And he's like, it was like meant to be like a scene that Pepsi itself could just take from the film and just put in their own promo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that now.
And it just like felt weird watching it within the movie. I love that scene because it's so cute, but it just felt weird to be in the movie.
So there's something about that scene, and I think it's like the voice that says, "Fuller, slow down on the Pepsi." I don't know who says it, but like it is so clearly like done in post.
Yeah.
Like the voice is from off screen, so it could have been said at any point during post production, by anyone just trying to sound like somebody, and like that may be another reason why it stands out as like a strange.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So the other scene that I was going to bring up is the scene where Kevin goes to the church. And he finally talks to Old Man Marley, and which I have a lot of things to say about Old Man Marley.
I have things to say about Old Man Marley.
Anyway, he finally talks to him, and they have like this like heart to heart in which the old man's problems Kevin is like giving him solutions to, and Kevin's problems the old man is giving him solutions to, and it's like, wow, this kid is wise beyond his years, and this old man isn't so scary after all, and it like tries to force these like Christmassy, like holiday family moral or family values into the movie, and it doesn't like fit with the plot necessarily, like
the idea of Old Man Marley was just really weird and it could have been left out of the whole movie.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, what does he do? Save Kevin, I guess, but like something else could have been done where Kevin was like not caught.
Yeah, I mean, he could have like actually called the cops and the cops just showed up. Yeah. You know?
I mean, he could have because the phones were working.
I mean, I like the character of Old Man Marley.
Okay. Because
the movie is trying to be for both kids and for adults.
Okay.
And he provides like the adult context for, you know, everyone hates their family during the year. Yes. And feels guilty around the holidays that they haven't cared that much about their family. And like Old Man Marley is representing that for the adults viewing it.
Okay, I guess I can see that. But I feel like story-wise, he was kind of unnecessary.
He was unnecessary, yes.
And they did not need to have him be like...
David Blaine style?
Yeah, like who just looks at people like that? Like, he would literally stare at Kevin for full minutes and not talk to him. For what? For what?
Okay, all right. Let me address that in a second.
Okay.
So, I basically, to sum it up, I didn't like the Santa Claus scene and I didn't like the church scene. Okay. Because I feel like it forces these values into the movie that's not even there. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the values can be rendered through the plot already. Right. Because Kevin doesn't like his family anymore. Never wants to see him again. And then because he has lost them, he learns the value of his family and wants them to be there on Christmas. Mm-hmm. Like, that's already there. Right. All right. With the old man. Okay. This is what I wanted to address. Okay. Because it's actually one of my favorite things about the movie. Okay. It's one of the very good aspects of it. Throughout the movie, mm-hmm. there are these really unique, like, first-person perspective shots. Okay. And there's a few scenes where we get a first-person perspective of Old Man Marley.
Okay.
The first one is from the window. Mm-hmm. We see like Old Man like turn his head. I'm calling him Old Man. I'm just gonna call him Marley.
Okay.
Which is a reference to Marley from A Christmas Story, the Charles Dickens, like Scrooge.
Sure.
Marley is like his deceased coworker or friend or whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so we see Marley like turn and look and like have that weird, creepy fucking glare through the window. Mm-hmm. Then we see him 3 other times in which he just kind of sneaks up on Kevin almost.
Yeah.
And Kevin is like looking up at him. Mm-hmm. And there's the time in the store where like we're like, oh, and he's just like glaring like straight down into the camera kind of.
Yeah.
There's the scene where Kevin is like, I'm not afraid anymore.
Oh yeah.
And like that's really funny because he's not afraid of the robbers anymore.
Right.
But
so
he forgot about Old Man Marley out there. Yeah, and we see him like look up at him again, and then we have this like perspective from down below him.
Did you have like somebody like Marley that you were afraid of? Like,
I wish.
You wish.
Yeah, I mean it's so much better to have a fear of something tangible
versus a furnace.
Well, the furnace itself is tangible too.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I cut you off.
And then finally in the church, when he approaches Kevin, we also see that very familiar at this point.
Okay.
Like view up toward Old Man Marley. Mm-hmm. I just think those camera angles, and even I guess like the glare that Marley gives, really work to show what Kevin is seeing,
feeling.
Yeah, and it's not even like reality necessarily.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
It feels from a non like little kid scared of this old man perspective. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
But I can see that, and that's fine.
You mentioned too the scene in which the family is like taking their turns, just like roasting Kevin basically in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He's like, look what you did, you little jerk.
Yeah.
And
she's like, you are what the French called laissez compétent.
It's one of my favorite lines because Kevin is like, what?
Like he's like, I should be insulted, but what? Wait, can we go back to Old Man Marley? Are you still talking about him?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So when I first saw him,
like
just even the whole premise, I thought of a movie called Now and Then, which is my favorite childhood movie.
Is that Mandy Moore?
Yes, Demi Moore.
Demi Moore?
Yeah, she's in there.
Oh, okay.
So Now and Then is about 4 girls growing up in the 60s, and then it's like between the 60s versions of them where they're kids, and then the adult versions of them when they're like in the 80s or 90s, whatever. No.
Rosie O'Donnell?
Has Rosie O'Donnell, yes. It has Thora Birch.
Thora Birch. Yeah. That's why you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
I've seen that movie.
Right.
Okay.
So, in that movie, in the 60s, they go to do a seance at this cemetery because it's one of the friends she loves doing like weird witchy stuff or whatever. Okay. Anyways, so they go to the seance. It's not Thora Birch.
What?
It's the other one. I can't remember her name.
Hocus Pocus kid?
No, Gabby Hoffman. So Gabby Hoffman's character, they did the seance or whatever, and then her and I think Thora Birch get separated, and it's like raining, and then there's this old guy called Crazy Pete, and he's like at the cemetery, and they're like, Crazy Pete, no! He's like, the most scary person to them, because he's like, he has that like disheveled beard, and like he like rides his bike, and he never talks to anyone. He only goes out at night.
Yeah. Share the road. What a weirdo.
Yeah. So like I literally thought it was the same person. I'm like, how are you going to be typecasted as the creepy guy who just stalks children?
Okay.
But it's not the right person or same person. So the person in this film is Robert Blossom, who plays Marley.
Yeah.
And the person who plays Crazy Pete is Walter Sparrow, but they look. I feel like looking at the pictures, they don't look the same, but
You could
they have the same like aura about them. You know?
Okay.
The same like creepy old man aura that little kids would be scared of.
Okay.
And so I can see myself understanding why I mistake them for the same person. But literally, it was like the same storyline. Okay. You know, like a creepy guy whose like child was like dead or like out of their life because Crazy Pete's son died or whatever.
Okay. So, Old Man Marley in the church, he reminded me of another character.
Oh my gosh.
He reminded me of a very old Daniel Plainview who is coming to some realization that, you know, families are weird, and even though you think you stop loving people, you still love your family.
Damn, and he calls his son.
He was like, yeah, I don't talk to my son anymore.
I love that. That's really cute.
There's one other character reference that I picked up on in this viewing of the movie.
All right.
So, Kevin, I think the most famous scene of the movie is the scene where he's in the bathroom and he's talking into the mirror. He's giving his whole like beauty regimen, I guess. Okay. And I was like, did this movie like inspire the character of Patrick Bateman?
Patrick Bateman? I thought you were going to talk about the Truman Show. You know where he's like talking in his mirror and he's like brushing his... But yeah, okay, I can see Patrick Bateman, yeah.
Yeah, because the book came out in 1981. It was published in 1991. This movie came out in 1990. There's a chance that Patrick Bateman is just based on Kevin McAllister.
Dude, I can definitely see that though. You know, like Kevin just becomes... Because they live in... they go to New York.
They both love torture.
Yeah, they both hate society.
And robbers and families. So I mentioned that I was personally impressed by like the first person perspective on the camera.
Right.
So we talked about Old Man Marley, but there's a couple of other times. So you also mentioned when the family was like scolding Kevin, like it cuts to like his perspective and just like slowly pans across the kitchen, like looking at everybody, and everybody's just like staring into the camera as though that's Kevin.
Oh my god, dude, I hated that moment.
Yeah, but it's so good.
I mean,
it's
it
so
is
effective.
Good. Yeah. I hated it in a good way.
Okay. And then the next morning, he goes back down to the kitchen. Everybody's gone. And it does like the same slow pan again.
But it's a clean kitchen.
It's clean. There's nobody there. And that's where he like, he's like, I made my family disappear. It also does it down in the basement. It does a similar slow pan. But maybe my favorite shot in the whole movie, which I didn't like this as a kid because I thought it was unrealistic because it looks like it's not lined up to go out the door. But the shot of him going down the stairs on the sled.
Yes, that's what I thought.
You thought that too?
Yeah, it didn't look like it was lined up. And then too, like it lands in the snow versus on the sidewalk, you know, like the walkway to go up the stairs. Does that make sense? So it goes down the stairs and goes through the door, but instead of like going down the pathway to like the mailbox, it lands on the snow. And I felt like that doesn't line up to me.
Yeah, I mean, that seems strange. My biggest issue is that it doesn't look lined up to go out the door.
Okay, I mean, that too.
Yeah, but that being said, I really liked that first person perspective when he's on the sled and like the sled's leaning over the stairs and it's like creaking and it's like, and like he's lining it up. Like I really like that shot.
Okay.
Yeah, those were like the technical things that I really liked about the movie. I did not like the fourth wall breaking.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, so there was a moment where he is sent upstairs and he goes onto the bed and then he has like a head thought that we hear. He has like head dialogue, and that's the only time it's audible. I don't think there's another time where he like says something in his head. It's just weird.
That's true. Like the voiceover kind of thing. The only thing close to that is when he's in the kitchen and the little bubbles pop up of his family members saying shit. But like that's a visual thing.
Right. I feel like that kind of fits.
Yeah.
But just like having a voiceover for like 2 seconds, and like it never happens again.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to me. One of the last things I want to talk about as far as like being like shocked by the film is the climatic scene where he like catches the robbers with all his little gadgets and whatever like plans like traps he gets. Like watching it just felt so violent.
Okay.
Like, does that make sense? Like, yes,
like the
it was
blowtorch to the head.
yeah,
like,
dude. Yeah. And then like he like shot them with like BB guns, and I think I screamed at some point because it was like so like, what? Like this kid is like literally shooting these guys.
Yeah.
Like yes, it was like fun watching it, like all the traps that he created, but at the same time, it felt like extremely violent to the point where I was like kind of also uncomfortable.
Okay. I don't really know what to say about the violence. I mean, I've never really thought about it as far as the violence is concerned.
Like, I feel like as a kid, you see that as like, almost like, slapstick comedy?
Yeah.
But like, I feel like as an adult, it just feels so dangerous. And I was just like, how did you come up with any of this? And are you capable of this sort of like intense action, I guess?
Yeah. I did have an issue with like the blowtorch when Harry opens the back door and like, it triggers the blowtorch and his head is on fire.
Yeah. That specifically reminds me of Fallout, where like when you're like,
oh yeah, they do have those traps. Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that, and another moment that like felt like very Fallout to me, or like a video game, is where he's going through Buzz's little chest. Yeah. When he goes through his chest and he finds the firecrackers, and then you see it through the first person, you see it, and he says, "Oh, firecrackers! I'll save these for later." Oh, yeah. And that like felt like a video game, like, like a cutscene or whatever,
And then they're in your inventory.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Just some of the booby traps seemed unbelievable.
Yes.
And some of them are like continuity things as well. I hate to keep bringing that up, but like I noticed them and then I read them on IMDb and I'm like, okay, I have to say it, I guess. But like when he is putting tar on the steps going down to the basement.
That's the most violent one. Okay.
Yeah. He is doing it from the top down.
Right.
So he's trapping himself in the basement.
Right. And then he puts a nail on one of them. And one that's like, that reminded me of, what's it called? A Quiet Place?
Yeah.
But it's before A Quiet Place. But still, dude, that felt so violent to me. It like almost made me gag.
Yeah, I know what movie John Krasinski was watching in 1990.
Dude, the last thing, like, reference for me is the pizza guy looks straight up like Seth from Nancy Classified School Survival Guy. So, like, they have, like, the same attitude, too. And so it just makes me think, oh, like, that's who they had in mind when they were creating that character.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Okay. That's all.
Okay. Speaking of all of the booby traps.
Okay.
And of continuity errors. This is the biggest error, I think, in the movie. And it's very similar to Parasite. Okay. And Crumbs on the Floor. Because this house is destroyed.
I wanted to talk about that so much. Oh my god. Like, it literally makes no sense. So I, a human adult, spent all day cleaning just my room alone. How is this boy cleaning a whole house spotless clean?
And you've never finished.
That's true. I've never finished cleaning a room. Yeah. Ever.
So, I mean, it's one thing. Like, he sets up all of these traps.
Right.
In no time.
Right. But like a window is broken, right? Or like there's
he
glass on the floor from all the ornaments.
Yeah.
There's tar on the steps. What else is there? There's probably like char from like the flamethrower at some point.
Yeah.
What the heck? Yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah. Also, it makes no sense to why he never called the police.
If the phones are out, he can't call the police.
Yeah, but he ordered pizza.
Also, I think he is the man of the house. Like, in his perspective, he has wished his parents are gone. They are gone.
Okay.
So now he has to take responsibility. And he can't just, it's one thing to call the police about the burglars.
Okay.
But I feel like he thinks he's going to be in trouble too. Because
I can see
he's a
that.
kid.
Yeah.
And he is the man of the house.
Okay, I can see that. It just makes no humane sense how that house was clean and like nice. Like to me, like the scene where he woke up and it was downstairs and I talked to you about it, like when he went downstairs and the house was clean after they had all those billions of people there. Like that made no sense to me. But you talked me out of it and you're like, they have a lot of hands. Yeah. Nobody wants to come home to a dirty house. Yeah. Makes somewhat sense.
Yeah.
But,
But, I mean, the house is pristine, even down to, like, Buzz's room.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fully make sense to me. And it makes even less sense to me that Kevin could clean up his whole mess after the burglars.
Yeah, that is impossible.
Yeah. He's there for 2 days.
What maid service could he afford with Buzz's life savings? And that would come out on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Right.
So there is one goof that I read about that I would like to debunk.
Debunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did have an issue with this as a kid watching it.
Okay.
And it's the paint cans being thrown on the ropes down the stairs, which is one of the most iconic of the booby traps, I guess.
Right.
Anyway, it looks as though Kevin is like to the side of the stairs throwing these paint cans. Mm-hmm. So how is he throwing them like directly centered on the stairs? Like, people have enough of an issue with this that it is a goof on IMDb.
Right.
However, looking at just the floor plan of the house itself,
I feel like it makes sense.
The stairs go up and then they curve, and then it's like a flat railing.
Right.
And around that, like above the door, is another railing. And that's where he is throwing these paint cans directly centered on the stairs. Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think it made sense to me because I think I questioned it for a hot second, but then it did make sense to me. It's just, I think the way that it's shot, it looks weird.
A lot of the issue, so it's a real house.
Right.
And funny enough, Kevin, when he does call the police, wait, does he give them their real address?
No, he calls them from his house, but he is calling
about the house across the street.
He says his name is something else.
His mom, I think Kate, his mother, gives the address. It's 671 Lincoln Boulevard is the address that she gives. The actual house, however, is 671 Lincoln Avenue in Winnetka, Illinois. It's like...
Okay, they did have a Chicago Bears.
Yeah, it's very Chicago-based, and it's like in the suburbs of Chicago, I guess.
Okay.
I thought it was strange that they used the actual address of this actual house.
Right.
So speaking of Chicago, the movie itself, it premiered exclusively in theaters in Chicago. On November 10th, 1990. Oh, these are the fun facts, by the way.
Fun facts!
Yeah. And then it opened like nationwide the week after. It very quickly became a huge success.
Right.
When it was all said and done, it was the highest grossing live action comedy until Hangover 2 came out in 2011.
Wow.
So it was up there for a while. And it was the highest grossing Christmas movie until this stupid ass animated Grinch movie came out in 2018.
What?
Yeah. So a couple of these fun facts may blow your mind. This one in particular.
Okay.
All right, so Macaulay Culkin was not the first choice for Kevin McAllister.
Mine already blown.
Someone else who everybody knows was asked to audition.
Can I guess?
Who?
Elijah Wood.
No.
Okay, what color is his hair?
It's brown.
Brown. Do I know him?
He looked like a Chinese woman.
John Mulaney?
Yeah, John Mulaney.
Oh, John Mulaney was gonna be Macaulay Culkin? Oh my god!
He was gonna be Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, but his career would have been uplifted.
Yeah, so he was 7 years old at the time.
Right.
Anyway, his parents were like, "No, he's not going to be in this movie," and his career has never been the same.
Oh my god, dude, he's never put in his stand-up. At least that I've heard of. I feel like that's something that should be in there.
That's just bizarre to me.
That is bizarre.
There's other like casting things too. Okay. I feel like Joe Pesci is just perfect for this role of Harry.
Right.
However, he wasn't the first choice or the second choice.
What?
Both Robert De Niro and John Lovitz, who I don't think you know who he was. He was on SNL back in the day when they were like, prime SNL years.
Okay.
They both turned down the role.
Wow.
And Joe Pesci was the third choice. Yeah. Uncle Frank, the asshole uncle.
Yeah, I have no idea who that guy is.
Yeah, I don't know who that actor is either, but it was written for Kelsey Grammer, who played Frasier. He is from Cheers back in the day. The guy who plays Marv, Daniel Stern. Mm-hmm. I pretty much only know him from this movie. I mean, he's been in a ton of stuff, like small roles.
The curly-haired guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen him in something else.
He was cast for the role, and then he backed out of it because they were extending the scheduled filming time by like 4 weeks, and he was like,
"Can't do that,
bro."
he
was like, "I ain't doing this anymore." Yeah. And he backed out, and they brought in some other guy, and the director, Chris Columbus, he said that there was no chemistry between this guy and Joe Pesci.
Vibing.
Yeah, so he was like, "We got to get Daniel Stern back in here," and I can't imagine the movie without Marv being who he is.
Yeah, who he is. Yeah. Whoa.
That's insane.
Damn.
The Santa Claus impersonator or Santa Claus guy.
Who's that?
I don't know who it is.
Okay.
But Chris Farley auditioned for the role and was turned down.
What? That does blow my mind. That's crazy. What?
And then, I don't even know if you know him, but John Candy is Gus Polinski, the Polka King.
Oh, okay.
He was very famous at this time. He was just in the movie Uncle Buck.
Okay.
Who was written and directed by the same people.
Okay.
He was like a world famous comedian at this point. He agreed to be in the movie kind of as a favor to either Chris Columbus or John Hughes, the writer. And he was only available to shoot for 1 day. And they shot all of his scenes in 1 day, but it took 23 hours. And he only got paid the Screen Actors Guild minimum or something like that, which was like $414. And he was pretty upset about that afterwards.
Damn.
Yeah, so John Candy's role of the polka singer stems from this skit on SCTV from 1976 called The Schminge Brothers.
The Schminge Brothers.
Yeah, these two polka singing brothers. It was him, and then Eugene Levy was the other polka singer.
What?
And Catherine O'Hara was also in that. There was a short film or a major or a full motion picture, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it was a mockumentary called The Last Polka.
Oh my god.
Starring the three of them.
Isn't there another mockumentary called The Polka King with Jack Black?
Whoa, I wonder if that's the same thing.
I wonder. Anyways, Catherine O'Hara looks so young in this film.
Yeah.
She looks like she hardly ever even looks like herself. For what I know her as. Yeah. Okay. I was kind of upset by the amount of Catherine O'Hara in this film. And the level of acting. Because I feel like there was not enough Catherine O'Hara in this film. And I just always pictured her. Well, okay. I pictured her as not a mean mom, but a frantic mom. And she was so composed, and it was so different from what I thought she was going to be. Okay. I remembered her from this Home Alone movie I've apparently seen to be more I guess my mom, just yelly for no reason.
Okay.
And she was just so composed. She was like, "That's not very nice. And I know one day you're going to regret that."
Yeah.
It's Jesus Christ, woman.
She has this really good line when Gus Polinski approaches her and is trying to introduce himself and is like, you never heard of this guy? Or what about
song?
this?
Yeah.
What about this song? Or what about this song?
You said you could help me?
He's like naming off all these polka hits.
Uh-huh.
And she's just like, and then at some point she's like, these are songs? Like he's just, thinks he's some hot shot. And
he's just some polka dude.
Anyway, all of his lines were improv.
Okay.
All of them.
That's fine.
Fantastic. Speaking of quotes, there's a couple other quotes that really stood out to me.
Okay.
The first one that I laughed really hard at was when Kevin is pissed off and he's like, when I grow up, I'm going to get married and I'm living alone. And I just thought it was funny because he's going to get married.
Right.
Like, that's a given. And he's going to live alone.
Well, dude, that straight up makes me think of Daniel Plainfield, too, where he's like... Plainview. I do that every time. Dude, just like his idea of like being the American dream is like being married, but also being alone. Like, he wants to be married and have a family, but he really just wants to be alone.
Buzz, he's asked, like, why aren't you worried about Kevin or something like that? Mm-hmm. And he's so dumb. He says, I'm not worried about Kevin for 3 reasons. A, I'm not that lucky. Like, something would happen to Kevin. It would be lucky for Buzz or whatever. He said, A, I'm not that lucky. 2, we use smoke detectors. And D, we live in the most boring street in America. Like, who has 3 things like that? A, 2, and D. I think you don't like this line, okay. But when Joe Pesci's character, when Harry is impersonating the cop and he's in the house and he's about to leave, and she is like, oh yeah, we're going to Paris, and he was like, oh, Paris, excellent. Well, your house is in good hands. I really like it because it's like a double entendre of foreshadowing. Okay. So like, it's sinister because your house is in good hands. I know I'm breaking into your house as soon as you leave, Right. But also by the end of the movie, like Kevin has defended the house successfully. So it has been in good hands. Okay. But also nobody talks like that. Nobody just like... Well, nobody like spills their like plans out like that. Every villain in every movie spills their plans. Yeah, but it's just like... I like the plan that Harry and I guess Marv, Mm-hmm. I like the plan that they had. He's going around impersonating a cop, like finding out what these people are doing, if they're leaving for the holidays. Right. He's got it so down to an art that he has their like Christmas light schedule. Yeah. That's another thing I did not like. He's like, this family is going to put their lights on now. And then this family is going to do... Because it's like, why would they do it like a minute apart from each other? That makes no sense to me. It's dumb. It's going to be like 6 o'clock. Like every house is going to be 6 o'clock, But I like what it shows. Like he is very smart. Okay. They have that van, the work van. Mm-hmm. It's like their front or whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought that was smart. Okay. Which, because they're so smart, it seems less believable that they would just be duped for so long by this kid. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. But also, it's like, they're so smart. I feel like, I don't know, it just seems dumb to me for them to pursue a house that has a child in it. Because it's like, do you want to get caught for robbery? Or do you want to be caught for a robbery and like kidnapping? Yeah. One more thing before we get into our ratings. Okay. This was another thing that, like, the house is pristine when Kate and then the rest of the family get there on Christmas morning. Mm-hmm. But also, Catherine O'Hara herself just looks immaculate. Yes. And she herself, like, in a previous scene... Have you ever been stressed out? Like, you don't look great. Well, she herself said that she hadn't slept for 60 hours. Right. And she's dirty and disheveled. And then she shows up on Christmas morning. And she's like a goddess. Yeah. A fucking angel. That's one of the things that's like what you were talking about as a preventative plot hole thing. Yeah. Where she was like,
I can't get on a plane that's gonna leave in 2 days. I have to go get my son. And then like she gets to the place, to her house within 2 days. So it's like it would have been easier for her to just wait.
Yeah, I mean, I get it though. Like,
I mean, like, I understand being a stressed mom.
Yeah.
And like trying to like get to your child as soon as possible. I totally understand that.
It's like knowing that you have to wait in traffic. Like if the highway's backed up, you're just gonna have to sit there and just wait in traffic. Or you get off of this exit, and it's probably gonna take you the same amount of time, but at least you're moving. You know?
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
I gotta be moving.
I do like that though. That's like one of the ones that I did like was that she was so stressed out that she had to go to her son now, that she couldn't wait 2 days.
Yeah, that seems the most believable and like plausible. Like the fact that only she, tries to get back by herself. Yeah. Like it just makes sense to not take everybody back.
Yeah, that was something that was like annoying me, that they're like, "Oh, we can only take tickets for all of us on Friday." It's like, why does everybody got to go back? Like, it literally makes no sense for everyone to go back.
Yeah, but I mean, their whole vacation was ruined. I mean,
yeah, I guess.
Anyway, let's get into our ratings.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Sure. All right. So, in my first viewing of this movie, I was really excited to watch it. I was very thrilled and had a lot of fun watching this movie. Okay. But my rating is going to be a 6.8.
Ooh.
I know it hits pretty deep. And I feel like where it stars for me is its editing. And there will be a scene that I'll talk about specifically in my favorites. But I felt like it was edited really well. The sound was really great. I felt like it was really like thriving off of like the little, like the TV screen, like saying stuff, firecrackers, stuff like that.
One sound in particular stands out to me when Marv is like in the basement door and he's like slipping on the ice and then he like slams his feet up against the walls to keep his to balance himself. Yeah. It's just like
yeah, and I think so good. Yeah, I think it was scored really well too.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of synchrony. Going on. Yeah. But for me, where it it's kind of like the characters themselves are like not really fleshed out for me. Where I don't really care about anyone. Like I really don't care about Kevin. Like, I really don't care what's going on with him.
You're not charmed by his
no. I mean, I love Macaulay Culkin.
Mature dialogue.
But no, I don't care for him. Dialogue was another thing I hated. Like there were just things that were being said. Like at the end, his dad he says something like, "What you been doing all this time?" He's like, "I was hanging around." And then his dad's like, "What a funny guy!" Like
that was strange.
That was weird to me.
And then everybody has like this weird group laugh.
Yeah,
that's the exact opposite of like all like staring at him and scolding him.
Yeah, I think too. Like I think it was mainly his dad just having stupid lines. I mean, there was a couple lines where Joe Pesci's character I just didn't like. Oh, when they find out that Kevin is missing or whatever, they're like. Catherine O'Hara is like, "I'll just go by myself," and they hug, and he's like, "Oh, go find Kevin." It's like, go find Kevin? He's at your fucking house. Like, you don't need to find him. You just need to go get him. And also, the first conflict is that Kevin doesn't know how to pack a suitcase, and it's like, what? How is this a problem? And then he says, "I've never packed a suitcase once in my whole life." Like, that literally sounds like something I would say. But yeah, overall, it was kind of an average movie.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, a 6.8 is where I stand. How does this movie hold up for you?
So I'm a little higher than you.
Okay.
And it's probably just a lot of, nostalgia, But I was impressed rewatching it.
How well it held up?
Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't give it an 8. I gave it a 7.9.
Wow.
Which I feel like in some ways is higher than it should be, but it also in some ways is lower than it could be.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so what's your one favorite thing about this movie?
My one favorite thing? Well, I have two favorite things.
Of course.
All right. So my first favorite thing, which is just like the cutest thing, is like the first time I saw Carrion on screen.
Yeah.
Where you just see him like in a very far back room, sitting at a table, and I don't know who says what to him, but he's like, I don't even live here. Dude, it's so cute. I just love Kyrian so much. And I mean, I love the Pepsi scene, but I felt like it was very forced. But just that first interaction with him was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
So my second favorite thing is a little bit more cinematic. And that's when I believe Kevin is running home from church and the music is just super intense. And he's like running. It almost sounds like Halloween, but like Christmas. But he's like running, and then as he's running, like the lights are just on beat with like the music that's playing, and like it's just so good. I feel like that's just like part of the editing that I really enjoyed about this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the score really elevates this movie.
Yeah.
During specific scenes like that.
But what was your favorite part of the film?
So my favorite part of the movie has to be after he steals the toothbrush on accident. It cuts to him just walking down the street with a toothbrush in his hand, and he's just like so sad. Yeah. And he says, "I'm a criminal."
He's like, I'm a criminal. He's so deluded.
It's something I just related to.
That's really cute.
So much as a kid, because I never wanted to do something wrong, especially on accident like that. And
it's really cute. Yeah, it's like when you're driving and then like a police officer just drives up next to you and you're like, I'm not a criminal. It's like you didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But with that, thank you so much for watching us. I hope you enjoyed Home Alone, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Yes, as do I.
And this episode concludes both our second season and our whole year doing this podcast. Yes. We've been wanting to do this podcast for so long, so we're really glad that we really stuck to it this time, and we hope that you guys had a fun time watching us, because we definitely had a fun time recording and editing. Yeah. Editing has been way more fun than expected. At least on my end.
Yeah, it's been fun. So we are going to do one more episode. It's going to be a recap of episodes 11 through 20, this being the 20th episode.
Yes.
It'll be just like the last recap episode, in which we kind of correct things that need to correct.
Yeah, mention things that we forgot to mention.
Yeah, and then we're going to update the big chart of ratings.
Big chart. And don't forget the outtakes.
Yeah, we got those outtakes covered. There's a lot of outtakes this time.
Oh, yikes.
I got to cut those down. Yeah. But also following that, we're going to be taking a bit of a break, and
but we'll come back with a bang.
Yeah, we're going to come back sometime around like mid to late February, maybe early March, with an episode kind of centered around award season. Yes. We're going to do some awards ourselves.
Right. We're working with the working title, There Will Be Winners.
There will be winners.
There will be winners.
But yeah, we'll make some announcements and post about that as the days draw closer. Yeah. And so thank you for watching us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Subscribe to the channel and share us with your friends.
Yes, get those counters up, because we want to change our URL.
Yeah.
But you can also follow us on Instagram. We are There Will Be Podcast, and on Twitter we are Pod from a Basket.
Yes. And our videos are also available on Spotify now.
Yeah, you can watch us there.
And finally, we want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season.
And we'll see you in 2022. Bye.
Bye.